I hate Facebook. I hate Facebook. Did I mention that I hate Facebook? Facebook is terrible. Recently, I see that they removed the page promoting the Freedom Convoy by the truckers. And they have tried to block exposure of the whole trucker resistance to forced vaccine mandates. I've had my own miseries with Facebook. I'm currently demonetized. I don't care about that so much, but I'm also restricted, which means there are people who used to get my page, it would come in their feed, and now they restrict my distribution. It's all based upon a completely bogus. I posted an innocuous clip about Kyle Rittenhouse. They said, by posting this clip, you're promoting a dangerous individual. Then they themselves decided, after Rittenhouse was exonerated, that he's not dangerous. But since my post was in the period where he was deemed dangerous, they refused to take it down. This is the sheer arbitrariness, the sheer unreasonableness of Facebook, which also now goes by the idiotic name Meta. Now, generally, I like to see the economy doing well. I like to see the stock market doing well. But the stock market took a kind of hit, and Facebook was leading the downward drop. And the blow to Facebook, I'm looking here at a report from CNN, wipes out $31 billion of Mark Zuckerberg's personal wealth. Isn't that great? It's awesome. In fact, it's threatening to kick Zuckerberg out of the top 10 richest men in the world. He's currently number 10. He dropped like 4 places. And Facebook itself saw a sharp decline, a one-day market value drop. In fact, it's apparently a 20% drop, the biggest single-day drop for any U.S. company ever. Now, Facebook says that part of the reason for this is inflation, and I guess we can blame Biden for that. The fears of inflation, of course, affect stocks across the board, and tech stocks more than normal stocks. So we saw some drops at Twitter, Snapchat, Pinterest, but the Facebook problem is also more unique to Facebook, and that is that after growing just unbelievably over the past several years, and projecting similar growth into the future, Facebook has essentially now stopped growing. Its growth is flat. In fact, you see slight declines. Younger people are not using Facebook. In fact, Facebook admits this. They say younger people are now using TikTok. They're using Snapchat. And so Facebook is appearing to lose its earlier luster. Facebook is hoping to save itself by this new concept called the metaverse. I'll do a separate segment on this some other time, maybe go into it in some detail. It's a really strange idea that you can live in virtual reality. Eventually, I guess they want to supply you with some virtual reality goggles. But right now, they claim that you can purchase virtual real estate. You can create a virtual avatar, a kind of substitute you. And the substitute you can have all the qualities that you in real life don't have. In other words, it's perfectly suited for losers. It's like, my own life is horrible, but you know what? I'll be Batman. My avatar is going to be cool. I'm really going to marry a supermodel. I'm going to make $1 million a year in virtual money. Now, amazingly, Facebook is in the metaverse. You can buy real estate. Obviously, it's not real estate, but it's virtual real estate, and you can spend real money to do that. So Facebook is trying to create this sort of remarkable, and who knows? When Twitter first started, I thought it was an idiotic concept. So what do I know about where these trends are going? I will say this. Facebook is a horrible censorship platform. So is YouTube. And for this, I wish them the worst. I wish that these platforms suffer. I'd like to see them collapse. I'd like to see them broken up. And their misery is my happiness. So long term, it's hard for me to see why people would want to be on these platforms. It's one thing to say, okay, I'll go on Facebook, I'll find my old college friends. This was the early promise of Facebook. And this is what made Facebook appealing, that it's kind of a way, a mechanism, kind of almost like the original invention of the telephone. How cool. I can actually call people who live far away. I can talk to them. I can hear their voice. How great is that? But imagine if the phone companies started doing surveillance on people and stealing their data and listening in on their phone calls and cutting them off if they didn't like what they heard you say. This is exactly what Facebook has become, an ugly, deformed version of its earlier self. And for this reason, the stock slide at Facebook, the blow to Zuckerberg's personal wealth, I think are reasons for widespread public jubilation and joy.